So, guys, now we're live. Got a thumbs up from the party back there in the corner. Dan Wise Media Group. We're back again. Hope you guys enjoyed our last stream of Spotlight Thursdays, where we interview business owners that are kind of up and coming in the area. And now we've got quite the pair in here. We've got Mark Shervey with so Makdaddy's Coffee, which is like my favorite coffee place around. I didn't know you were the owner of it until yesterday. So thank you for coming.
No, I appreciate being here. Thank you.
And I don't know if we need do we need an intro for Kenton?
I'm in witness protection program, so you can't
Kenton's got quite the reputation around the community. So I don't really know what we're going to talk about, but I do know that Mark brought us some of this. Let's go to the wide. Actually, go to my camera, Shelly. Distillerium. Is that how you pronounce it?
It's a hard word to say for me. Distillerium.
And this is local?
Right. Yes. No, they're right on Terrace Heights.
Okay. Who owns that over there?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll find out. If anybody's watching and you know, drop a comment. But we're going to be this is a drinking program this morning, I guess. I guess it's technically afternoon.
It's after lunch, yeah.
So Mark, I'm going to let you do the honors of go ahead and pouring our glasses there in our Wise Media mugs. So go ahead, put on the big camera, Shelly, and we'll kind of get Mark getting us all
it's all me
drunk on the air.
All right.
Oh, that's good. Cheers.
Okay.
Hey.
They walked here for the record. Nobody's driving. At least not from here.
We did find parking for everybody's purposes.
Mark Kenton, cheers. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So we'll start off with you, Mark. Kind of tell us a little bit. So you've got two locations. You've got one downtown, and you've got another one right over by the radio station over there, KIT Radio.
Yeah, right off of Summit View, correct.
Yep.
Well, the downtown one we started about over 5 years ago now. So that's where we started. And then the one by the Summit View, by the radio stations there, we just opened up less than a year ago. So that was our new venture that we started off with. So it's been a challenge. Did you own coffee shops before this? No, this is downtown's my very first foray into doing an actual business here in downtown Yakima.
Okay.
We started out in the farmers market a couple years before that. I was just roasting. Just had a really small roaster, just a small commercial space, and I was just roasting coffee. And we did it for the farmers market. And just sort of next logical step was a brick and mortar store. And so that's what we did.
You know, for years, because I'm a big, I love coffee. And I'm from South Florida. So Florida is not known for their coffee. I don't know if you know that or not, but there's no Starbucks is like the coffee place in Florida. When we lived in Spokane for a while, after me and my fiance had a misfortune with the federal prison system, and we spent some time in there and came home came back to Washington, where she's originally from. And when I moved to Spokane for the first time, never being on the West Coast, I really got a good introduction to good coffee. You know, Washington's got a lot of good local pop-up coffee shops. I've always wanted to have a signature coffee for Wise Media Group, and now that I have you on the air, it makes it hard to say no. Okay, can we come up with a Wise Media coffee sponsored by Makdaddy?
That's what we do. I mean, that's why we're a coffee roaster. I custom roast a couple blends for different customers, and we can definitely do that for Wise Media. So,
can we get one on the menu?
Yeah, on the well, we'll have to see how it goes here first.
Kenton's what did I invite my friend to?
We can do the rotation. Why not? We do different drip coffees every day. Why not?
No, it'd be cool. Because we drink a lot of coffee here. So you guys, you don't just make coffee on site. People can walk away with bags of beans, and so we could actually brew our own coffee right here in the office.
Right. Okay. That was my original business plan, was to be an artisan coffee roasting shop where people just come in and buy beans and go on their merry way.
Right.
The demographics in Yakima quite wouldn't support something like that, especially when you get into the real specialty coffees from Africa and Indonesia and stuff like that.
So I saw a lot of your coffee come from Honduras. Is that what I saw?
A lot of Central and South America. That's where we sort of gravitated to. Like I said, we started off with some coffees from Ethiopia and Kenya and stuff like that.
So how did you get into it's a passion for coffee?
Yeah, exactly. It's a passion. I like to do stuff myself, do it yourself type of guy. And I just started roasting coffee at home, and then family and friends wanted some, and sort of just snowballed into getting an actual coffee roaster. And
I thought I'm not gonna lie, I thought your coffee shop was a front. Yeah, I thought it was a front for a while. Lance Tormey is the one that introduced me to it because from KIT we become good friends since our interview with him. And every time he brings me to his coffee shop, I always run into people that are like, they're in the circle, and I'm like, what's going on?
Well, his coffee does come from those countries.
Yeah, no, but your food also is amazing. I don't know if people know that about your food, but man, to go and have like a great pairing with like just the sandwiches you guys do there. You guys do these really, I'm trying to remember the sandwich that I got that was just, oh my God, I get it every time I go and I can't
What's
think
the
of it.
jam? The one jam that you do with your panini.
That's the one. That's the one. Yes.
Oh, that's our in-house blackberry reduction sauce.
That is so good on that panini.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, you have to go out and try this place. I mean, I'm sure I'm speaking to the choir. I've been here 8 months. Like, yeah, idiot. We've all eaten there before.
Well, Yakima County has like over 100 coffee shops. You got to do something a little bit different to stand out. So, like, we do our own in-house specialty butters and sauces and stuff like that. So,
and the one downtown's got like an underground area, right?
Yeah.
That's where the
that's where the meetings take place.
That's where the So let's pop over to his Facebook go to the other Facebook, Shelly, the one on the left. So you got it up on the screen, and if you see notifications pop up, close those. So this is Makdaddy's Coffee Roasters Facebook group, which they've got 1,700 followers and growing. So if you guys if you haven't checked it out, there's 2 locations. There's one central located downtown. What's the address downtown?
Downtown is 28 North 1st Street.
28 North 1st Street. And then your other one is located where exactly?
That's 4106. Some of you right in the parking lot, like with
Dunbar
Sport House and Dunbar Jewelers.
So again, since we got you here, it's hard to say no. If anybody comes in there and mentions, "Hey, I saw you on Wise Media Group podcast," can you hook them up with anything? A discount, a cup of coffee?
You bet.
What are we gonna do for them?
We'll give them 10% discount.
10% discount. Mention Wise Media Group. You saw Mark over here, and we'll give you 10% Wise Media discount. So now we've noticed a lot of your tables. Now I didn't know the two of you knew each other, but I did recognize some of Kenton's tables while I was at the second location, not the downtown one, but the other one. I was with Lance, and I said, man, these are not cheap tables that he's got in here. He goes, oh yeah, Kenton did the tables. I'm like, oh, Kenton. So Kenton, tell us a little bit about your involvement. You seem to be good friends with Mark, I'm assuming, or at least that's what Mark's pretending to be now. I don't know. We'll talk about it when he leaves. But so tell us a little bit about your background. Most of the community kind of knows you.
Yeah. So most of the community knows me from my politics and what I've done in politics. They either love me or hate me. There is no middle ground. I don't leave much middle ground either. But quite a blunt man. But as far as the business, 6 years ago, started a business actually under a different name, and through that 6 year process, it slowly developed. About, I want to say 2022 or end of 2021 is when I transferred the name over. There was me and I had another business partner at the time, and we went our separate ways, and it just became too confusing with the same name, because there actually is like 5 or 6 companies with the same name in Yakima. One's like some kind of a rock gravel or something. I get their calls all the time. So whoever owns that company, your truck is literally in like blocking alleyways, because I get the calls. Some yellow truck with that name on it. But so I transitioned to Norse Woodworking to try and separate from the other 5 businesses that literally had the same name, whether they're doing the same thing or not. But all the wood, it started 6 years ago. I had about $2,000, $3,000 in my pocket, and I was working for Sozo at the time, and I wanted to go out and do something. And so we were brainstorming and wanting to come up with a company, and we wanted to do something that was made in Yakima and keep the resources as close to Yakima, if not USA made at least, and keep foreign products out of our end goal. Well, we were going down the street, and the city of Yakima at that time was taking down this huge maple. And I just walked up to the guy saying, hey, can I have this? They had loaders and stuff there. And I said, can I have this tree if you cut here, here, here? Because I had worked for the old pine shop there on South 1st Street for the Sabaris a little bit. So I knew what these products could make. And I actually helped them build a conference table that sits up in the Wenatchee warehouse up there for the fruit growers. Big conference table, like 20 feet. But So I had some experience, so I knew what that tree could make. And
I feel like he's judging my table so much right now.
I do keep looking at your table. Sorry. I love the plastic caster. It's good. But
Thanks.
walked up to him and they literally said, "Hey, yeah, you could have the whole tree. Just pull up the trailer." So we literally started in an attic with $2,000-$3,000 in a pocket. Eventually went to the backyard and was able to produce a whole company off of literally all of our resources come from here in Yakima. The city of Yakima alone takes down over $186,000 worth of trees on their budget. Complete removal, and that doesn't include tree limbing.
Do you have to buy these trees from them, or do they give them
most
to
of the
you?
time they'll give it, because I actually have saved to date the city of Yakima over $80,000
Because they're not spending money
They're
on
not
removing.
dumping it. They're not having to spend as much labor.
Who's cutting down the trees?
So they have a contract with Zensky.
Okay.
Currently, I think it's still the same contract.
So they're still paying to get it cut down, but you're saving them money on disposal.
Time, labor, and all those kind of the disposal end of it, because they actually are prevailing wages. So the longer those guys are out there, the longer they get paid.
Right.
In a very prevailing wage situation. So
Okay.
it does save the city a lot of money. And I've gotten some from Union Gap, Tatum Youth Park. It all comes from around here. And so all that product, specifically that made Mark's tables up there, all came from one tree. It all literally
At which location? Both?
Natchez Ave, the 40th location. Natchez Ave, there used to be two giant trees that sat in front of the YMCA. When they took down one of those trees, that's where actually his tables came from, was that tree. And that actually made three establishments. One bar in Golden, Idaho. My Ma Dim Sum over here on South First Street. That's over that way. But and
you guys also did the beer den too, right?
Yes, we did the beer den too. That's all mostly American elm and sugar maple.
Okay. So it's pretty cool. So somebody sitting down, like going to Makdaddy's or having a coffee, they could potentially be sitting at a table that's fucking, how old could some of this wood be?
The one that sits in Makdaddy's coffee, that literally was over 110 years old.
Wow.
It was the first tree planted on North Natchez Ave when they were doing that whole parkway system back when the German migrants wanted to make that a hot spot, because that's how they did their atmosphere over in Germany. They wanted a social atmosphere. So I'm waiting for them to take down that other tree in front of YMCA, because it's big and it's good.
Man, it's kind of like, what's the old saying, if trees could talk or something to that nature, you know, the stories. So Mark, do you have any with the, actually, let's show Kenton's Facebook, Shelly. It's the second tab. Just real quick, make sure you guys are also following Kenton over at Norse Woodworking. There's links in the description. There should be links in the description of the video. If not, I'll go back and edit it. But just, you can look at Norse Woodworking. It should come right up, NORSE Woodworking. And he's got quite a few followers as well. Now you do make tables to custom tables. It's not like you just have a warehouse full of pre-built tables. People can actually say, hey, I want a table that's 8 foot long, has epoxy in this part, this color. It can be a very custom type of an order.
Correct. Most of my customers are actually custom made. There's a few times where I have extra product that's already made and that's where they're going.
Right.
But 90% of the customers are literally, they want a custom made table that's built to last. Because another thing about these tables is I use an entirely natural oil that is vegan certified, the only one in the entire United States made in Missouri. And what that means, you can fix these tables, and these tables should antique properly so that they could you and I will be in the ground rotting away. And if somebody's always maintaining this table, it will literally always be repairable. And I've seen tables in the cabins that are literally over 200 years old, still stand in their establishment.
And that's because of the oil you're using, or that's
because of the oils processes, because it's how a table actually becomes a true antique. People think antique has to do with just age, like that table's 100 years old, but no, it has to do with the water levels within the cellular structure of the table itself, of the wood structure. So that oil is replacing that water in there, and that's how it ages. And it takes decades for wood to actually get down to 0%, which is actually true antique.
Now, how did you get into, I mean, I know you worked for somebody, but I mean, were you like, as a kid, did you like building shit? Were you out like building tree houses? And because this is a craft, not just the old wood, but the actual, what you're doing to the wood.
In the pine shop, it was around when I was like 16, 18. I would just do that when they needed extra help. So there really was that was my introduction to it. I went to a private school, so we didn't have wood shop. We didn't have those.
You were one of those sheltered kids. Huh?
I grew up in a sheltered school. Yes.
Wow. TV.
I called it prison, but we didn't have those kind of things. So that was my introduction to it. And it just happened to be that when I wanted to start a business that I saw a product that I could make, and I had
Pull up some of his photos on Facebook of his if you could click on photos.
in our products. You could literally go as far as Oklahoma and Missouri to find our product.
X that out, Shelly. There you go. Click on that X and then see next to, yeah, there you go. Let's click on that. So just to give an idea, and this is on the screen, right, Shelly? To give an idea, click on see all. So for anybody out there that's interested in a custom forever table, we'll call it a forever table because this isn't something you're going to buy and get rid of in a couple of years, unless you're, Tom Cruise and it's in your budget. But for somebody that's wanting to get into this, to buy a table, what's like a starting entry point for a table that you'd produce? Because this isn't for everybody.
So usually somebody getting into this owns their own home. I very rarely have people that rent actually purchase these. If they're purchasing, they're usually charcuterie boards or something for gifts for the family. But people that are getting tables usually own their own home or own their own establishment of some kind. So they want that to glorify the room and catch everybody's social. I always tell people in the last 15 minutes of an hour, that's usually when you run out of things to say. And if you've ever been in one of those bars that I've built or restaurants, you could see that 15-minute hour and you will see them all go to the table and they'll start looking at the table. It's kind of funny to watch, especially when they're on a date. It gives them something to look at.
Yeah,
when they ran out of things to ask their partner. But going into this, you depending on the species, depending on a lot of factors, wood can get quite spendy, especially if I'm not in the exotic category, so that could even get way more expendy if you go in the exotic category. But you're going to be spending on a 6 foot, 8 foot table. You could be spending anywhere between $2,000 and $6,000 very easily.
Which sounds like a lot of money when you just hear the number thrown out there. But if you were to go to like what are some of the Furniture Row, even a table there, you're probably going to spend $1,500 easy for a table like this that we're looking at right now.
Get rid of in a year or two, or something happens. I always point out there's this little old lady that came into my shop. She had a desk. She had a greenhouse that she had her desk in. She went to Walmart and bought this table that was $5.99 every single time. She bought this table 3 times. Mm-hmm. She finally, the 3rd time, came in and got a quote from me. I told her, well, the desk you're wanting and the dimensions you're wanting and all the metal going on was about $1,800. I told her, and she was like, "Oh, that's a huge price tag." But literally, her desk had broken down for the same reason in her greenhouse because of a humidity 3 times, and she spent $5.99 or whatever tax after that. It becomes that. So she already bought. She could have at that time frame, had not done that, bought a table that she could have just sanded down if something went wrong and never had to buy another table.
So
I was gonna say those tables too, you're not just buying it for yourself, you're buying it for your kids, your grandkids, and because they'll last forever.
Well, I was going to say, it's probably, like when you buy a bed,
Mm-hmm.
you can go get a cheap bed, but you almost fucking regret it. Like with a month in, the bed might feel great the first night or two. That's why a lot of these like higher end companies, they give you like the free 365-day trial, which I take full advantage of. On day 364, I'm like, my bed doesn't work the way it used to. But it's similar, you're buying something. Kenton, we actually spoke to Kenton a couple times about, putting in a podcast table in here to kind of showcase. But I don't know if it would make sense because we don't want to drill holes unless you were specifically making it for that. Have you had any companies like a podcast company reach out and say, hey, I want a table design like this, dimensions like this, holes at this point, like custom shit?
The closest thing would be a conference table.
Okay.
When conference rooms, because they might have like outlets that they want in the middle of the table for their laptops.
So you do that.
So yeah, we have done that before. It's not a super common request.
Right.
But
you can
do that. Yeah.
Now I heard you say before you also do like cutery board, like cutting boards and whatnot. So it's not just tables. You can get smaller gifts that you want to give to somebody. What's a cutting board cost?
So generally anywhere between $60 to about the average about $300.
Okay.
When I say at $300, that is a pretty good sized charcuterie board.
It probably depends on the wood also.
The wood factor, black walnut tends to be the highest category, but they get up in about the 200-ish range on average. Like I said, most people are usually getting about the same kind of sizes because it's just trying to serve.
We need to back up a little bit because when I wanted to cut a hole in my
I told him no.
What did you want to do?
Nip should fit. Is this like I want to put a hole in my countertop so I can put like a water spout? No water.
Why'd you tell him no?
I got like the.
Was it like a personal thing?
So when
don't touch my table.
I had to rearrange my entire.
I already saw Kenton yanking some table out of the building a couple like months ago. He's with his pickup truck.
So there comes when you you have your slab, which comes in its original after it's cut from the mill and everything like that. Every time you cut the wood or do something to the wood, it doesn't get that half value or anything. It actually loses more than half its value. It's probably more like 60-65% of its value is lost every time you've cut it down. You don't gain value from cutting.
So by putting a hole in it takes away the value
does take
of it.
away value because then
Unless it's for somebody like me that's looking for a podcast table with holes in it.
very specific, whereas he could adjust it, so I didn't let him.
But I do have to tell you though, there's not a week that goes by that people don't ask about the countertop.
That's what I was just going to say. So back to Mark, segue back over here. So Mark, how did you end up meeting Kenton the character? He's such a colorful character in Yakima. How did you meet him, and how did he end up selling you on tables? Because you spent I don't know, did you buy those tables, or are they on showcase in your store?
Oh, I bought them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still paying on them. I can open 4 or 5 more locations to pay for these tables. So tell us a little bit how you got into that and how you ended up purchasing tables and why you chose tables like that. Because you could have bought cheap fucking tables, round top McDonald's tables.
Yeah, I mean, because when you're starting a new place, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, where can I save some money? Where can I save money? And Kenton approached me about doing the tables for the shop. And it's just like, well, duh. I mean, they're a lot nicer, And so,
but you didn't know him before that?
No, I knew it. I think we met downstairs
How did we originally meet?
meeting room downstairs
at a meeting. Okay.
It was probably mutual friends. I don't remember exactly. But my life hasn't been the same since. But anyway.
So how long ago was this? How long have you guys been friends, associates?
3 years.
3 years. Yeah, it's about 3-4 years.
That microphone works way better.
There's about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I can't actually remember the first time.
But we wanted our new location to be different looking, different atmosphere than our first one.
Okay. Oh, so you don't have any of the tables in your first one?
No,
just shelves.
No.
He just has shelves. I tried getting his first location. He never would let me do it. Still won't let me do it.
Well, downtown was my first business, So we got some good quality Chinese product down there.
Okay.
And it looks cool, but doesn't have the durability and the wow factor that Kenton's table.
Yeah, I definitely, because I've been to the Makdaddy's at the new location. Yeah. Every time I meet Lance, he's too lazy to drive up here, so he makes me drive over there to him.
I see him; he does laps around the parking lot during commercial breaks.
Lance is one of the most interesting, in a good way, one of the most interesting individuals I've met here in Yakima, and what a fucking heart on this guy. If there's an animal issue out there, Lance to the rescue. Yeah. So cheers to you, Lance.
I don't know what he's like, but I want to meet him in high school. For some reason, I just get this image of him. I'm not sure how he was in high school.
Without saying too much, you probably would have been around the back of the building, making sure no one's looking.
Okay, all right.
And then going back to class feeling good. Okay. That's Lance in a nutshell.
With a smile.
So you bought these tables. Can I ask you what an average cost of a table? And
I don't know.
We're talking a couple grand a table.
He got a discount.
I'm sure he's buying in bulk.
So I'll point out a normal build for a normal person that I've never met. So for establishment, same kind of concept. They're going to be spending anywhere between literally about $26,000 to about $46,000 very easily.
For how many tables would that get somebody?
Usually that's usually about a full bar and about 12 to a dozen.
Because you did the whole bar at Beer Den, right? That whole bar.
Yes, the whole bar, the whole thing.
Thank you, Mark. Oh, we have more.
I still have some. So.
Shelly's got a bottle hidden somewhere from me in here. Let me know when you guys want more.
Out for you?
Yeah. I was looking out for you guys.
It was actually my first bar.
Say it again.
The Beer Den was actually the first commercial bar that we did. We did some residential stuff, but we never had gone into commercial. The funny thing about them is that I was literally sitting there with my business partners like, we need a bar. We need something that's going to make a statement. We need people to be able to see our product because that's the best form of advertisement I have.
That's why we want to hear in the podcast.
And we happened to, some other guy did a quote on their bar, their build, and they didn't want to go with that concept or that person. They wanted to get a discount, and they wanted to be a wow factor. So I approached them originally, and then we ended up sitting down for dinner and talking over that. So they got a really killer deal, and they're a very nice couple.
Yeah, I love them. I love their dog. They got a dog in there that just hangs out.
The dogs, everybody with their dogs in this town. I don't bring my dogs to bars or just in general to public spaces, but
You could have brought your dog here.
could have, but I
would've
don't
been
like it
accepted.
because then they run around, they knock things over, and you have to watch them. And
So you're a respectful dog owner. I appreciate that.
So, but their bar was a blessing in disguise, because that's where we needed to get our foot through the door, and it had helped us get through the foot in the door, because we got from their bar, we got several contracts with other bars, and then we went through COVID and I lost a few of those contracts. But
Yeah. So where are you located at?
so we actually, it used to be on Washington Ave, but we are now down in Wapato. I bought a 23.5 acre property down there that had shops on it. So I'm still trying to figure things out. Moving is quite hard, actually.
Moving like all of the material?
Everything, you're so used to doing something for 5 years and where it's placed, how it functions, all that stuff, and now you're going to even though it's more acreage, it's a smaller shop, and you have to be a little more organized, and you have to update the electrical. There's so many factors. Like, I don't even have my planer up and running now, so it's taking
have what?
more time. My planer up and running right now because I have to upgrade the electrical of the building.
So have you completely moved out of the other spot?
Yes.
Okay. So are you active right now, or
Yes.
Okay.
We're actually, I just finished up a bar in Idaho, Moscow, Idaho. I just finished all their product recently, and I have to get that all dealt with and taken care of. But a lot of my customer base, other than the commercial industry here, there's two types of commercial industries in Yakima. There's the guy that's the cheapest thing you'll ever meet, and that's how they treat their restaurant and their food, everything from top down. And that's why actually Mark's business is probably most successful. There's a few things I give him crap on, but he actually is really he actually has been really successful in that regard, because he wants quality, and it's just his basic jam. Like, that's what I recognize most about his paninis.
Look, I'm a food. Anybody that knows, like, we have a whole other channel called 509 Eats. We go around and I probably have posted your food on there, where we go eat stuff. I'm not that guy that's if I don't like your food, I'm not gonna give you shit about it. I'm just not gonna say anything about it. Like, I don't post it. That panini, like, the panini was so good. That jam that was on there, oh my god! Like, you guys have to go try that. That's
what makes a difference, man.
So I don't just want a Wise Media Group coffee. I want a Wise Media coffee and a Wise Media panini. I'm gonna get a little pushy over here.
We want to revamp our menu a little bit here in the next month or two. So
and getting feedback from the community is probably always like key ingredients, right? Because you're very embedded into the community, because that's pretty much who your clientele is. So do you guys? So your stores that you have, is it just set up for coming in and eating, or do you also have like people can schedule events, they can have like meetings there? Do you have rooms set up for that, or not really?
Don't right now. The some of you location we sublet space over there right now, but it's right now it's an art studio. So right now he has like art classes on Wednesday night. He has like a tech Tuesday night where anybody can come in. I think it's like 5:30 or 6 at night. And he gives free classes.
That's cool.
Like that. But he wants to do more stuff, like, paint nights and other creativity type of classes. So
if you ever want to start a Makdaddy podcast, it'd be cool. We actually, the Beer Den was the first place that when we moved here and we opened up our studio. When did we move here, Shelly? So May of last year. This year. May of this year is when we kind of got here and opened up shop. Beer Den was the first place that embraced us. We actually went and did this same setup. Beer Den had us, I forgot what it was for. It was for some special event they were doing. So they had us come do a setup where we were just podcasting live from there. But then as the patrons would walk by, we'd get like how we got Kenton sitting in the third seat over there. We'd have them sit down and just say, hey, tell us a little bit about what you like about this place and what you know about the owners. And it's cool to hear that feedback from the community, because I bet there's a lot of people that have like, oh man, Mark's place is so cool because of shit that you might not even know of.
Right.
So what is your engagement with the community? Are you involved in any local activities, groups, business networking?
Not so much business networking per se. We do like downtown. We have open mic nights. I try to get people that music, any type of talent like that.
in your shop,
downtown,
in the coffee shop.
Yep. Every Saturday night we have open mic nights. This past summer we had live music, local artists at the Summit View location. And so we might start doing something more like that
Is there any like charities that you're involved in, or any like giving back to the community?
We're at a time, we did partner with the Union Gospel Mission.
Okay.
When we first opened downtown, we had a specific drink for them.
For the people that could come in and get a
all
free.
the proceeds went to the Union Gospel Mission.
Okay.
And actually, I want to do something like that again too. I'm toying with different ideas. I've got this like old 80s turntable and speaker system at home. I'm thinking maybe if we can bring that in the shop and people can pay money to play some vinyl.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, and I donate that to the YWCA or something like that.
Very cool.
But we're toying with stuff like that.
Okay.
Some ideas. We do a lot of fundraisers for local charities, like for our schools and groups at schools. We just did a fundraiser for Natchez track and cross country, and so we help them with that.
How many cups of coffee do you guys push out of these locations a day?
Oh my gosh! You know, I was whining to Kenton when we first opened up the new place. Like, I'm roasting like 2 or 3 times more than I ever used to. I'm like spending hours and hours in the roasting shop. So
is the roasting shop
hundreds.
A separate shop?
Yeah, I got a little location on 48th and Nob Hill. It's just basically a glorified garage.
Okay. Nothing for
no, it's just got a bunch of pallets. It's got a few tons of beans in there, the coffee roaster. That's where it's like my man cave.
Okay.
You know, and just go roast coffee.
So coffee roaster, I'm sure there's different quality grades of roasters. What's a coffee roaster cost for industrial use?
Mine was like 30
grand.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's not, I mean, that's on the lower end. But right now that's the perfect capacity for me. So if I didn't have that size capacity, I'd be roasting 40 hours a week. So.
Do all coffee shops that open up, do they all have their own roaster? Or
no, that's kind of what was kind of unique about it.
Can somebody come to you and like rent your roaster?
I only know of 1 or maybe 2 other coffee shops in town that roast their own coffee. Maybe 1.
So how does the rest get it? They get it pre-roasted?
Yeah, they just buy it, you know.
And what's the big difference between pre-roasted and is it the freshness of it?
Well, the freshness and the quality of the beans. It's kind of like it's like whiskey. You know,
Okay.
You got the lower shelf, you got the upper shelf,
but it's not like the more you drink, it all tastes the same.
Well, you know, when we first started, my intention was to sell us like the coffee snobs. You know,
right?
And it's like, you know, like I said, demographics weren't there, but a lot of people. They like I call them foo drinks, you know.
Me too.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, they like their flavors and stuff like that. So you don't get to really taste the coffee. But
yeah.
If somebody's into coffee, you will notice the difference.
You know, I've told people that for years, someone from Florida, where we have shit coffee.
Yeah.
After we moved, so I grew up in Florida and we came to Washington, then moved back to Florida for what year did we move back to Florida? 19 to just a few months ago. And going back to Florida, unless I was getting a glorified foo drink, I preferred McDonald's coffee over Starbucks because the regular coffee taste itself, McDonald's to me had a better flavor than you would get at Starbucks.
McDonald's has always been highly ranked in their coffee.
We actually had McDonald's on here, and we had the McDonald's for a fast food place. McDonald's actually, I'm not going to look. It's fast food at the end of the day, but they take care of their employees. They have great management training. So I learned a cool fact about coffee, and it wasn't from McDonald's. It's just something I don't even know how I learned this. So is it true that light roast coffee has more caffeine than dark roast? Look at Shelly, the peanut gallery. Shelly, feel free to turn on your microphone anytime you want to chime in.
Yes, I think generally speaking, yes, but the difference I don't think is all that great. Seriously.
No,
I mean,
but why is that? Is that because you roast it, the more of the caffeine that gets taken away from it?
Yeah, well, yeah, you get more of a chemical reaction the longer you roast it, the more of the gases escape, and that's the theory behind it.
Do you guys do classes? Like, let's say I wanted to like be my own. Obviously, I'm not going to be competition for Makdaddy, but I want to roast my own coffee out of my house.
I've been hesitant to do that just because I don't have any like letters after my name. You know, as far
do you really need letters?
I don't know. Well,
you got just say MAK.
You know, I can say I've roasted
Mark Shervey, MAK.
Coffee. Yeah. So, but I mean, I've learned a lot over the last few years of what not to buy and buy as far as picking my importers and what beans to get. So,
right.
Yeah.
Are you staring at the alcohol?
No, I saw the Bing. attracted my attention.
Oh, Shelly, keep when you see those pop up on Facebook, close those just when we go back.
Sorry, bye.
So so yeah, I think that would be really cool. Like almost like a starter kit, you know, for like do it yourself, make your like roast your you could sell the beans and they could roast them. Now can you sell unroasted beans?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
You get people walk in and say, "Hey, I'm been trying to roast coffee at home and it's not working," and so I'll help them out, give them some beans, try it out. And but you know, I always tell people that coffee is a lot. I compare it to wine. You know, the Yakima Valley wines. Different wines have different floral notes and stuff like that.
Right.
Same with coffee. Coffee has different nuances.
Do you stand there after you get your first like batch of coffee? Are you like, no, this isn't it. This isn't it.
You have to cup it. Okay, so
what does that mean?
Cupping, it's almost like wine tasting again. So when you do like a little sample roaster where you roast maybe half a pound of coffee, and what you want to do is you want to pull the coffee out at different increments. So you have like a real light roast,
like different temperatures.
Roast. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the temperature is going to determine how dark the roast is. So you want to do a light roast, medium roast, dark roast. That's just the basics right there. And so because some coffees flourish at a lighter roast and they do a darker roast and vice versa. And
what's your favorite?
My current one is the one we're getting from Guatemala right now. I roasted at like a medium dark roast, and that's my favorite right now. So
what's your favorite, Kenton?
I like his Honduran coffee.
Honduran. My brother lives in Honduras.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah,
my wife's from Honduras.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
My brother moved there a couple of decades ago. He had enough of the United States and sold all his belongings. He owns a if your wife's from there, what part?
Tulsa, I can't pronounce it right, but Tulsa's the capital.
Okay, the capital.
Whatever.
My brother lives in Rotan.
Okay.
Yeah, and everybody knows him there as Captain Ed. He builds like
the expatriates,
full scale when I say full scale pirate ships, I mean this thing looks like it's out of the Pirates of the Caribbean. He takes pirate tours. He owns a little I'm trying to think of it's a little dive bar called it'll come to me in a minute. But he's got a scooter rental company up there, and he doesn't look like anybody else in my family. I'm pretty sure my mom stepped out and he's got a different dad, just doesn't know it. But he's like 4 foot something, scrappy as hell, way old. He's like in his 60s now. But yeah, he's been over in Roatan, Hole in the Wall. That's what the bar's called. So ask your wife if she ever heard of Hole in the Wall.
I don't think she's been to Roatan because that's a lot of the Hondurans don't go to Roatan because it's more of a, like I said, expatriate island or tourist island.
Yep.
It's more foreigners than it actually.
Oh yeah, it's
local
very
population.
It's very expatriate over there for sure.
We should do a remote down there.
We should. I'm still working on getting my passport. Ever since I went to the big house, slammed in prison. I've been struggling to get my passport.
Honduras is in America, we call it a green card, right? Our visa program is called a green card. Down there, I always joke about this in the political atmosphere, is that their card is not a green card; it's called a white card. And my wife's
is it really?
Citizen, yeah. So if I ever go down there and actually get the card, I would literally have my white card.
Oh my god! And this is why we brought Kenton on, guys. Zing. Are you political, Mark? Are you socially political?
I am political. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this because it'd be fun to have a conversation? We can have a separate topic one day.
I ran for office once here in Yakima, so I guess
for what?
I'm political. City council.
City council. Okay.
Two years ago.
Yeah, it's about 2, 3.
If you could do it over again, would you rerun?
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
We have good representation now, so it's like there's no rush for that.
No rush for it. Yeah.
We got 5 majority.
Yeah. I don't know. I've talked about this like with Shelly in the past before, with just because when people hate you, they hate you. Right.
Oh,
and even if they don't know you, they just disagree with your viewpoints, and that's enough to hate you. We're terrified of like people showing up at our house or worrying about our dogs, or she's much more of like the private life, where I'm much more like, hey, look at me. So that would be my biggest. But part of what we want to do here at the studio is I'm pretty sure I share a lot of the same values and views. Is we want to make this, because there's not a lot of soundboards for political individuals with certain political views to really have somewhere to go out and speak. That's not, everyone's so worried about, oh, we're going to get shut down, or we're going to get our funding. Well, I don't get any fucking funding. So
It's a different political atmosphere now. I mean, not just politically, but socially. You used to be able to sit down with somebody
And have a
opposite sides
conversation.
and have a conversation.
No, you're not
And
allowed to
you
defend
agree
anybody now.
disagree, and you respect each other, and that was, that wasn't too long ago. I mean, I know I'm old, but it was
No,
that long
this all
ago.
happened very,
Yeah.
actually it didn't happen as we've seen it. It seems like it happened fast,
Yeah.
but the propaganda that's been pushing
Yeah.
that's been happening for a decade and a half, where it's slowly being kind of put out there into the ether. And now you've got people that you're not going to see any kid ever fail in school again. They're like, kids are just going to get pushed through. I wouldn't want to be a teacher. I wouldn't want to be a police officer. I wouldn't want to be a doctor. There's just too many problematic situations for the media is more concerned about what the narrative is saying than what really happens in a lot of cases. And cancel culture is very, very real.
A lot of businesses are actually super scared of that, and my business isn't scared of it at all. Everybody knows my politics. I am a libertarian, and if you could actually go to my my Facebook's reviews, and I got reviews from people that live in places I've never been, that just attacking my business. That never sat in front of my business, never bought anything from my business, just because I was a little outward in my politics. And a lot of businesses in this community are the same way. They're scared of getting that bad review,
Rightfully so. If that's
they think it'll affect their bottom line or something like that. But I tell businesses, you can't run from politics or hide from politics. You can say you're going to ignore politics or not play the game or be a part of the influencing situation. But at the end of the day, it will affect you in some way, shape, or form, whether you like it or not. Just look at the parking situation that happened recently here in the fall of this. You all wanted to be quiet. Guess what happened?
Yep.
Your parking lots got shut down.
It's funny. It's funny you just said that. This morning when we got here, we park in the public parking lot. Well, right now it's public. It's right next to Cowiche Canyon. And I saw this big garbage bag over a sign. Like, what the fuck does the sign say? So I'm peeling it back, and it's parking enforcing. So they're going to start charging.
Well, they did, and then it backlashed.
They did. They started that. They implemented that 2-3 months ago.
It was implemented, I think, in October, and then it started in November.
They must have stopped it because they're not charging over there right now.
For 60 days.
So I'm assuming it's going to be January-ish, and they're going to
take it out with the new council.
Because there's a bag in there. There's a bag cover. That bag wasn't always there. At least I don't think.
So they put up the signs. They got a huge backlash, and then they put the bag over the sign so that nobody.
I just happened to notice the bag today because I'm oblivious.
And the moratorium, that word, is to stop it for 60 days because this new council has expressed in opinions, because they can talk to each other until they get on council, to get rid of it. It was such a backlash because it just was. Nobody asked the public, but that's where I say is, if you don't get involved, this is what's going to happen to you no matter what, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease at the end of the day.
I've been in business, like I said, downtown for 5 years, and I can't say for sure, but when that parking enforcement went into effect, my sales dropped 10%. I mean, it just took a nosedive.
Well, you got a text message, didn't you?
I'm wondering, even for me, like I'm gonna have to pay to park to come to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's and the thing is, you just can't say, hey, let's go downtown and go out for dinner or go out for coffee, and okay, we have to pay to park. You just can't go downtown and park and pay. You can't do that. You have to fill out a form and get it.
So it's not going to be like in Florida. You scan the scan the QR code and pay.
Yeah. So
is that how it's going to be?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how they're going to do it exactly. I hope they'll finalize.
Because it's not going to be like a coin. I mean, it might take coins, but I don't. Who the hell?
It's going away. I guarantee you, it's going away.
The meters?
No, we will not have meters. It's all going away. There was. Our downtown economically we have two, like I said, it goes back to the tables. We have two types of businesses. If I always said, if you're going to charge $10 a beer, which some places are charging $10 a beer right now, does your establishment look like it? If your establishment doesn't look like $10 a beer, why would they go to your place and not go to a hole in the wall Brews and Q's over here?
Yep.
Because it's not that fancy of an establishment. They're not charging $10 a beer for literally the same brand of beer.
Yeah, you get on what they get $5 burgers and a soda and a fry for Welfare Wednesday. Like, Shelly knows everything. You sure you don't want to be on a microphone, Shelly?
But that's what they're catering to, and that's what you expect. So why complain about it? That's what you're getting. That's
they're not going to get complaints.
Yeah, you're expecting places you can't be cheap and sell an expensive product.
Yeah,
they're going to sit in there and be like, "What the heck am I in?"
I'm not going to say the name of the business, but so when we first started doing the podcasting, we we were going into local restaurants. We were saying, hey, why don't you create a promotion that we'll offer on our podcast? And when anybody comes in, so we did it was 50% off it was a Wednesday, Burger Wednesday, 50% off Burger Wednesday. And I went back in the next, so the wife was all for it. I went in the next day, and the husband, I was asking, I was like, he goes, oh, the wife was like, oh, we sold out of all our burgers. So I'm thinking, oh, this is great. So then I'm meeting with the husband. He's like, yeah, we lost money. I was like, well, fucking course you lost money. This is a promotion. But you know what? Half the people that went in there were people that had never eaten there before.
Yeah.
And that's what you fucking want. When a promotion is going to cost money in one way. And this is where people understand when they're starting a business. And actually, you guys would be great individuals to talk to this about. Originally, I was going to have you guys come in on the first podcast we were doing this morning, but I figured it was going to go a little overtime, and I wanted to, not rush you guys out the door. But new businesses, when they open up and they think they're going to start a business, they go borrow money from a family, they get a business loan, whatever it is, they work, the URL, their website, their logo, their business cards, all this thing. But then you ask them, well, how are you going to get your clients? What's going to make you guys special? You can have the best burger in town. You can have the best coffee in town, but you've got to have character. You've got to have a good marketing strategy. And whether you're going to spend money on like Google AdWords or you're going to spend money on local commercials, you told me you did radio and it didn't work out at all for you. Having some, if I could say, hey, cut your coffee in half for one day, and I'm going to bring you 30 new customers that have never been there before. Of course, that's a win-win in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Well, the husband said we lost money. It was like, well, did you? You may have lost money that
day. What about next
how much
week?
Is a customer worth to you?
That's what
I mean, how often is that customer come back? How many friends is that customer going to bring in? So yeah, so you lost a couple $100 in burgers that day in profit, but you probably gained a couple $1,000 in one or two new customers over the course of a year. So
people don't, and I get it when people are strapped and you're looking for like immediate results, immediate gratification. You're probably in the wrong business, because anything you're going to do, if you go put out a promotion tomorrow, you're not doing it because your lights are going to get turned off the next day. You're doing it because, winter's on its way. We need to ramp up to account for the business that we might normally lose. So you have to really be thinking about these things, and your business must be tough on its own because, like, no offense, but Mark's business model is an easier model just because he relies on a lot of walk by traffic. Somebody's not walking by a $5,000 table going, oh, honey, I think I need a new table today.
Well, it is, especially in Yakima County, is that you have to look at our, like he says, demographics. Is Yakima County is the poorest county in the state of Washington, literally. It's got the highest food stamps, it's got the highest welfare programs, it's got the highest subsidies. I mean, the legislature always points that out, that Yakima County is eating up so much money. Well, that's because of your programs, but it has to do with our industry. We don't have a trickle-down economics in Yakima County. We have billions of dollars going through Yakima, just the city of Yakima itself. We have a very rich agricultural industry, tourism industry, as far as the wineries, as far as those things, but we're not seeing at all a trickle-down effect. And you could tell by that because our community is very poor. They're all renters. They're not owners. So a lot of my customers are coming out of Boise or coming out of Denver specifically because they want those finer things in life, and they can afford them on top of it. And it has to do with our community. We have to change at some point. Our community does need an economic.
Do you feel like we're at like a critical mass where we're running out of ceiling?
Yeah, well, we have no building infrastructure. We have no housing infrastructure. We keep building the cheapest housing we could possibly build because we want mass quantities. But if you look at the lifespan on a development, from a development or a bank perspective, they put the lifespan on most of these apartments that they build 16 years. That's its max value, is at 16 years. So that means after that, its depreciation is going negative unless you're buying it at a very low rate, and maybe you're that slumlord that's now going to buy it after 16 years,
right?
Really do only a little bit of minor fixes, but the guy who built it has to sell that at 16 years, or he loses money after that.
Yeah. That's
in
crazy.
Infrastructure, and that's our entire infrastructure. How many times do they talk about how old the water pipelines are underneath Yakima Ave over here that they say they have to fix them? They have to fix it. It blows when a semi truck that's not supposed to be on the road in the first place blows it, right? And they shut down the whole intersection. That happened back in November again. Our infrastructure, we have no trickle down, and we need to change that. And we have too much clicks. And when I say clicks, we have too much just, this is my group, this is my territory, and it's costing us so much to be in Yakima. We have big city problems in Yakima, but we're a small city. And we have no infrastructure or great infrastructure. And we need to change that, because at the end of the day, to start a business downtown, why would anybody start a business in downtown Yakima right now? It will cost you literally thousands of dollars more to open up a door, just a little door, anywhere on this area than if you go up to 40th or something like that. You'll have yearly expenses that you won't have to pay. Just look at how many, there's more empty buildings in downtown Yakima than there are businesses that actually use them. So we're dying. We're killing ourselves. We are, and it's a twofold one. It's not just because we're poor. It's not just because of government. I know everybody in the right wants to blame government, which, yeah, government is part of the problem, but it also has to do with crony capitalism, which comes from our infrastructure. That we have crony capitalism that runs this town. And nobody benefits from crony capitalism because they want government contracts, they want government money, they want to run their programs and fix their stuff off government money. Where does government money come from? Our tax dollars.
Right.
So you could only tax the poor so much and they become poor.
You know, we saw this a lot. And by the way, maybe Kenton's throwing his hat in for
Nope.
no.
I did that. It was a bad idea.
When we started doing this program, the Streets of Yakima, Homeless and Addicted, which we have a new series on that. And part of it was because I have my own personal beliefs of why the homeless population and why it's growing. And a lot of other people have their own opinions. Like, you know, there are a lot of individuals say, well, they lost their job, that's why they're homeless. And it's like, well, I don't really believe that.
But why did they lose a job in a market that has a lot of jobs?
And a lot of the people that we're seeing that are living on the streets, they didn't just lose their job. These are people that have been there for a while, displaced from mental health, mental abuse, whatever it was. So we interviewed a lot of individuals living on the street directly to hear their side of the story. And then we started going to the community leaders, Camp Hope, Union Gospel Mission, a lot of these places, and hearing from some of the directors of these facilities on why they feel the homeless situation is as bad as it is. And the problem is, I don't think anybody has bad intent, but a lot of the stuff that maybe there is bad intent, a lot of the stuff that you see and what they want to try to do, it's so fucking unrealistic. And it sounds great on paper. It sounds great to get like some more funds, some private funding, some government funding. But when you talk about every homeless person needs a house, come on. These aren't just homeless people that don't have a place to live. These are homeless people that are highly addicted to severe drugs. And yes, they need help, but there's not much accountability put on.
There's no success metrics.
There's none. If I give you an addict a free place to live, sure, I can encourage you to go get help, but the chances are everybody you know is going to be over there getting high with you, and it's going to turn into, you know, a trap house, get destroyed. I just don't think there's a reasonable amount of metrics to measure what success looks like. It's so black and white. And you know, I went through addiction. I had a severe cocaine addiction, and I was lucky that I had a strong support system that I could lean on. You've got somebody that doesn't have a support system out there, and you
family,
and you expect them at some point to be accountable for their actions. I mean, you know, it's a really, really tough kind of, how do you wrap your mind around that? We keep throwing money at it, but now our streets are getting more and more inflamed with individuals that are displaced. And I'm sorry for their misfortune, but people, like you said, they want to pretend like it's not their problem. They want to ignore the politics of it. But pretty soon you're going to have these people camping out in your backyard, and police aren't going to be able to remove them because we're going to taking more and more power away. Mm-hmm. In Florida, if you call 911 24/7, you're getting an answer. You call 911 here. I mean, I'm sorry, you can local police department. I'm sorry.
6 hours later,
you call you call the local police here. They're closed on the weekends. I've never seen like that. To me, that might be normal, but that to me, like, wow. So now you have to trust that the citizen has enough mental capacity to determine what's a 911 distress call and what's like, hey, like, how do you determine what's an emergency? So I just feel like there's probably tons and tons of calls that are non-emergency calls that are eating up the 911 hotline because we don't have active. Was Yakima always like that? Was the police department always shut down on the weekends?
No, I think if I'm going to be very political here, is that our police department, I'm not talking about police officers themselves.
Right.
I am a libertarian, so I have my own opinions of police. But in general, it's become a PR firm. And that's a lot of police departments. They're not we're not singular in that regard, but I think has completely become a PR firm. And just look at I've always said the police chief should be actually an elected position. It should be voted on by the citizens that they have to
Yeah,
serve.
I
Right
agree.
now, they're entirely hired, and they
Right.
always come from out of state. And ours came from Denver. I don't know anybody paid attention to Denver before they came here. They were having internal investigations. They were having bribery. They had so many problems in Denver, and we hired somebody from that department.
Well, you see that happen all the time with police, where something happens with a police officer and he's fired, but he's able to go get a job somewhere else. Or is like rogue school teachers that there's been teachers that have been charged with molestation of kids that get fired from their job, but they can go teach somewhere else, and hoping the school board or wherever they're going to go does enough of a background check to be like, hey, you diddled kids at John I, whatever, you can't work here. But you'll see, how did he get a job here? I mean, you fucking hired him. That's how.
Right.
Um,
It's like the Argentina. Like I listened to the Argentinian president recently, and I love his opinion of it's all public sector. This is all public sector that we're talking about here, not private sector. Police is public job, fire department's public job, hospitals are public job, doctors, certain doctors, not all of them, or city staff, they're all public sector. We have too much public sector. Anything government spends is negative GDP. Anybody that's taking economics, even globalism in college at the UW, you are negative GDP. Anything that comes from public sector is negative GDP. Private sector does it better, does it cheaper, and they actually are accountable to them. Right now, public sector is only accountable to whoever their boss is, whatever that might be, whether it's a council, whether it's a governor, they're not accountable to you and I, the voter. In fact, how many times do they get caught in the cookie jar?
How engaged do you guys feel average community individuals are with what's going on behind the scenes, nation's problems, local problems? Because it seems like we're so focused on
1/3 of the population of any population probably participates in its electoral system of whatever that might be, governor, state, federal,
and
local.
The rest just parrots narratives that they've read and heard.
Most of the time they don't even know what's going on. Either they're hearing a national news issue, which literally has nothing to do with Yakima, or because I'm part of a team that actually harvested ballots. So we harvested over 600 ballots in the city, in Yakima itself, this past election cycle, which saw a landslide. I actually showed pictures because I was trolling the left because they were calling the police on us because we were doing something that they do, which is perfectly legal in the state of Washington, which is funny. They call the police for it. But so I was trolling them by showing pictures of the ballots I was harvesting.
Oh, wow.
But and then we did ballot boxes actually at Makdaddy's coffee stand and various churches and various other businesses that wanted to participate this time around. And I'll tell you one thing, most people don't know what's going on. They know a national issue that they've heard through friends or through social media, saw on Facebook or whatever. They have no idea that and they think, they'll sit there and think, well, I don't influence anything. Well, yeah, you don't influence anything because you're thinking of a million voter population issue versus if you look at your city, look at how many people vote. There are times where some of these city races have been the difference between 28 people.
Yeah.
There's even a city council race in Union Gap that's a coin flip.
And I think when people say that, when they're like, oh my, it doesn't matter. I think that's really just an excuse, a cop out for not being involved.
Usually not knowing.
For not knowing. I'm guilty of that myself. We're like, oh man, what did my vote? I just started voting the last two votes, where it was my first time really engaging. Does it make a difference? I like to think so, but also talking about your points and being able to have conversations. Like, we want to bring people in here to talk about obviously we want topics that are going to be interesting to hear, gender fluent type conversations that, your point on it, my point on it, without somebody getting up and punching somebody in the face, and it's real hard because, like religion, people don't like to talk about certain things, usually because somebody gets into a corner where you're actually questioning what they're saying. And when they start to feel that stress, that fight or flight kicks in and people just want to disappear. We haven't had a lot of success at getting people to come on and talk about this, but
I think as far as the politics in Yakima, it's, when times are good and everything's going fine, you're not too concerned about stuff like that. But if you notice over the last year, inflation and prices and all that stuff is just causing people to second guess their spending habits and stuff. That's when people start paying attention.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, maybe I should vote this year. I think that wakes people up. And I think the last election reflected that awakening. And I think you'll see that carry over to next year as well.
And next year is going to be interesting.
The
Yeah.
auditor always points out that Yakima had a very low turnout, which is a lot of the state had a very low turnout, which is true. But if you actually go into certain, because we're districted,
Right.
so the district votes for its district. So if you look at District 1, it actually had the highest turnout it's ever had in the history of District 1 of that area. And the main issue that triggered that was utility taxes. The council was trying to pass, the left side of the council was trying to pass, they were trying to say it's for poor people, but we're going to charge you higher utility bills, which you have to pay.
And you got
it's subsidized too. If you actually
it's
don't pay it.
monopolized. You have no choice.
Yeah, you have no choice in the program. You have no choice in its costs, its wattage sale, all that kind of factors. And they were going to do that, which affects the poorest of our poorest community. And then those that can get the subsidy then have that paid. And then that comes off of other people's tax dollars and certain programs come off of that. But that was the main issue for District 1. You go to a door and say, hey, do you want higher utilities tax come January or not? And they totally a left district. They are left-leaning district that typically always picked left-leaning members since its creation. Picked Leo Roy, which was an outward Republican, and he was endorsed by the Republican Party. And they went the completely opposite direction. And right now, you guys don't have a tax hike in your utilities because the council was so scared to pass it because all their guys got kicked out.
I think a lot of the smokescreen that we've seen from the last 4 years. It's starting to people starting to see it for what it really is. And we're going to see people, because people are now starting to feel it. It's not just my feelings anymore. It's now affecting their lifestyle. It's affecting where they're going to live. It's affecting how they're going to eat, how they're going to find a job because even if you were to double minimum wage, it's not enough. That's not the problem. The problem is all these other social issues that you're bringing up now. That I think we're going to see people doing things, voting certain directions that they probably never would have before. And what the reasons are going to be, they might say because it's better than the other guy, like a lot of people said last time. But we're seeing that shift. So take us out, Mark, and ask both of you a little bit more. Tell us a couple more things about Makdaddy. Tell us an interesting fact. Like MAK, does it just stand for? Is anything significant behind that?
No, well, yeah, when I was first starting out, I thought, okay, I'm going to call it, Yakima Coffee Roasters or something like that. And my daughter says, Dad, no, you can't do that. And so was it what? And she came up with MAK, which are the initials of my daughters, Megan, Alyssa, and Kayla.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So there's some history behind it.
So there is something behind that besides what most people think. So,
I went over there. We met a lady that's going to come on do an interview with us. And I said, let's meet at Makdaddy's downtown. So I get there. She's like, I'm here. I'm like, I don't see you. I'm like, oh, she must have went to the wrong one. She's like, McDonald's, right? And I was like, I said, no, Makdaddy. She goes, oh, I thought you were just saying McDonald's in a cute, clever way. Have you ever had anybody confuse the two?
No, I have not.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
We have people confuse the locations. I've had customers like we're supposed to meet somebody and like, oh, I'm downtown, I'm up here. So
take us back to his Facebook, Shelly.
Yep.
So real quick again, over at Makdaddy's, if you guys go into Makdaddy's, either the downtown location, you're gonna have to go on the 911 call and let all your associates know because you're probably get flooded with Wise Media Group.
I'm gonna do that. Yes.
Magic Mark over here is going. Magic Mark is going to notify both locations that if you come in and mention Wise Media Group, I think he said 10% off of whatever you purchase for that day. So thank you. And you can find both your locations, one conveniently located downtown at 28 North 1st Street.
Yep.
And the second location is where again?
4106 Summit View by Sport House and Dunbar Jewelers.
And follow them at Makdaddy. Just go to pull up MAK Daddy Coffee in Yakima, and you'll find their Facebook group. That's probably the best way to follow you, I'd imagine. Anytime you guys promote anything, I'm sure you put it on your Facebook page, Instagram.
Facebook, and we're starting TikTok now too. So,
TikTok.
hey,
TikTok, you don't ever stop.
I'm gonna get my moves built.
And over here to Kenton, let us know again, like your ideal client, how people can find you. Just let us know something maybe you didn't mention.
The best way I tell people to find me is I have business cards in all the establishments I built here in Yakima. My mom, Dim Sum, the Tap, the Beer Den, the Makdaddy's Coffee up at 40th, Willow Cafe, a Market and Cafe up near Eisenhower on Tieton. All those owners will give you my contact information. And I do go see my product. Go see if that's a good fit for you, if that's going to shine in your household. And if you want to buy a table once and have it for the rest of your life, or do you want to continue buying a table at $1,000 to $2,000 a pop every 2 to 5 years?
And if you mention Wise Media Group, it comes with a free dining room table.
If you mention White Media when you come to me and say you got it, I will give you a discount.
Yeah,
depending
just
what you're trying to build.
yeah, guys, just realize that you're not going to go to don't go to Kenton with a $500 budget. You're not. You might get a piece of wood that you can bring home and say, "I got this from Kenton."
Plywood.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you're buying a piece of history too.
but
so
and that's really the
good.
cool thing is you're getting something that because I do a lot of meditating. And it'd be cool just to have like a meditating chair or kneeling bench built from something that's that old because you're already in the energetic mode and having that I feel like become one with nature.
You know real nature when you've had it built for you and now you know what it looks like and you will instantly spot what is actually fake.
You know
how many people bring tables to me that think they're real and I go, no, that's literally just a laminate over some plastic stuff.
That's got to be a downer to somebody.
You just see their character like,
do you ever
solid oak.
It'd be cool if you did like a little video tour of some of these places where the trees come from, like some of the
I need to do that.
That would be neat because then you could tie it to the history
where it comes from. But I actually have photos sometimes of where it's come from, or I could even go there and show you.
Imagine that
was stood.
You get to a dinner party and you run out of things to say. Oh man, this is a cool table. Oh look at you pop up on the screen.
There you go.
Brought to you by Kenton Gartrell.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, hey, and you can find Kenton Facebook. That's such a pretty picture you have on your social media there. So best place to go is Norse Woodworking on Facebook. There's links in the description of these videos. Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, share all that fun stuff, and go follow these guys. Kenton, your wife's going to be coming in next week?
Yeah, she'll be coming in next week. She has her own little businesses, Willow Barn Ranch. She runs venues and does all these kind of.
He literally filled out like 8 different forms for his wife. I got so excited. I thought it was going to be filled. I'm like, Gartrell. I'm like, what? Does this guy know half of Yakima? And they're all the same person. So yeah, we're gonna have your wife in next week, hopefully. We'll get with her to schedule time, but where she's gonna come in and share some information about what she does. Well, hey guys, I appreciate it. I enjoyed the alcohol, guys.
I appreciate it.
Makdaddy's Coffee, Kenton Gartrell over at Norse Woodworking and Design. Guys, have a great day. I'm Dan Wise, Wise Media Group, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. See you next time, everybody.